Let's talk about norms and procedures. On October the 9th, agenda item 7, City Council norms and procedures, and they took and appointed 2 members of the City Council, Bob Keller and Frank Ferry, to review and recommend updates to the City Council norms and procedures. That meeting took place, that was brought back to the Council at the last City Council meeting. Now, I just want to highlight some of these to you so you can see what they do. Blue are additions, red are deletions. In these City Council norms, in many cases, it tends to provide a bigger or a larger amount of influence to the city manager away from the council members. The first one, council members will provide the city manager with questions that will be asked publicly during the council meeting. So I really believe that when you get 3 days to go look through things, and you might have questions, and in some respects, this is a discussion about how the council meetings have been going, because we have one council member that seems to ask a lot of questions. The thing on the bottom is an issue of taking away a council member's ability to talk about personnel issues in closed session. And in some respects, the Brown Act gives council members certain responsibilities, and this may take away or attempt to take away what they do. Individual council members, this is an addition, must not discuss or meet with the city manager on issues in which the council member has a conflict of interest. So you can see here that that particular council member's ability to discuss issues is being limited depending upon someone else's perception of a conflict of interest. Council members shall inform the city manager or the communications manager of any interview or comments made to the media about city project or issues. And in this particular case, I think they made a mistake in the way they asked the question, because I would think that council members themselves would like to know if other council members had a discussion about specific items with the media. And so instead of saying you're going to talk to other council members, they funneled it through the city manager. And that brought down the ire of a lot of our local media areas. This one really cracks me up. Well, here's one is when the question is called, no further debate shall occur. In Robert's Rules of Order, when the debate is going on, an individual who may think that the debate has gone far enough has the ability to make a motion called calling the question. And that's a motion, not a statement or a point of order. It is a motion. And then if the entire body votes and says, yep, you know, that's the right thing to do, the debate ends. In this particular case, what they wanted is for anybody to be able to just jump up and say, I call the question, and end debate. And that just didn't seem like the right thing to do. Here you see a change from city manager from staff will be available to answer for questions from individual council members prior to and during a city council meeting. Having the fact that only the city manager will be able to answer questions from a council member makes the council members' access to staff members less than yours and mine. Because we can go ask any staff member a question. They might not answer it, but they can ask that question. They are deleting an issue where it says if one or two council members feel something is controversial or a hot button issue, the city manager will inform the mayor, and then they will go ahead and inform the other city council members. I don't know why they wouldn't want to go and do that. If a city council member determines that a request by an individual council member requires a significant amount of time to produce, the individual council member would be advised to make the request of the entire city council. So here it's an issue of if one council member wants some information, can they request it on their own, or do they have to go to the whole council? I think this one was interesting because it says if a city council member asks the city attorney to do any work that takes over a half an hour of billable time, that they have to go to the entire council to get them to approve it. And I believe that if the city feels that it's so expensive to have the city attorney do work for them, why is it that if the staff directs or asks the attorney to do something over a half an hour, why isn't that issue brought up to the entire city council? Then there was an item about presentations. If a council member wants to make a presentation, they must provide the city manager advance notice of the intent to make that presentation. I think in some respects this brings up an idea. Why isn't it the same as the other way? If the staff is going to make a presentation at a council meeting, why isn't that presentation included with the agenda and the staff reports about that issue, so that when the council members waive the presentation, we never get to see it? I'm just wondering why it doesn't work both ways. Here it says the mayor will preside at each event on behalf of the council and work with city manager to decide who can speak at each event. And this was something I thought was very interesting, because the mayor here wants to be able to make those decisions and attend those events. And that's one of the reasons why I was very surprised for the lack of attendance at the Jake's Way event. Why in the world didn't we have more individuals there? And in this respect, it's a way to keep individual council members from acknowledging the effort. Here's a deletion. All council members will have the opportunity to review invitations before printing. So here now, if someone wants to publish something to the entire city, why don't the council member? Isn't it that the staff works for the council? Here again, mayor will work with the city manager to determine the format of presentations for other council members. So it really appears that this is an issue of the majority of the council trying to manipulate the minority. You might not be surprised that this met with a lot of dialogue at that meeting, and didn't go over extremely well. The city manager is responsible for setting agenda of council meetings, and that's pretty well the case today. Additionally, any council member or the mayor can put items on the agenda with a verbal majority consensus of the council. At a meeting, in the office, which way is this going to be? I think you kind of get the idea of what's going on. Council members will return written, and this one I'm really concerned about. All closed session information, verbal or written, is confidential and private. Council members will return written documents to staff at the end of each closed session. Is it so much that we don't trust our own council members? So you might not have been surprised when in the Signal there was an editorial calling all citizens to acknowledge what's going on and believe that these kind of changes was an attempt to stifle communications, invest too much power in the city manager's office, and have a chilling effect on the media's role in the process. And that is the Signal's discussion, not mine. Tim Myers, again, in his commentary published in the Signal, talked about very similar things, and that and at the end he says, but most disturbing, the policy would ask elected council members to notify the communications manager when they speak to the press. So this did not meet with a very favorable response, and I would hope that when this comes back to the council, we all look at the proposals and provide our own opinion as to whether or not they're valid or not. What I believe Santa Clarita needs is Santa Clarita needs is all council members treated with the same mutual respect, given the same compensation, and ability to represent our city residents. Council members who accept responsibility for listening to the public and taking appropriate action, they should take that responsibility. I mean, I watched this thing on the net, and I heard comments like this. Well, council meetings are taking too long, and we all have jobs. Well, you know what? What is the primary job of a council member? right? That is your primary job. So here, you should be able to take the time and accept responsibility for listening to the public and taking appropriate action. You are the ones that set city policy, not the staff. Take the time to understand what they vote on. When you get that information, you get that information packet, you should read it before you vote on what it is. And it's your responsibility as a council member to oversee the staff and the city manager's compliance with city policy and ensuring that the public is informed. Any question? Comments?
I would have hoped, Alan, that your thoughts on what council members should do would have included leadership. I think that is something that I would expect out of my city council first and foremost. And I think maybe that's a fundamental issue.
I agree. I absolutely agree.